Hi, this is Kevin Trainer. Welcome to the first of my tutorials for the um, Zelle 3rd edition, Chapter 6 coding assignment for my IS430 course. And I am recording this in the spring of 2022. And we're taking a new approach to the coding assignment this semester that I intend to continue on with. And here's the approach. In order to learn about functions, we're going to take code that's already written, okay, and we're going to refactor it into appropriate functions. Now, I've seen other people teach functions this way with great success. This is the first time I'm trying it, and I have high expectations. What I like about it is that we're learning how to do things kind of a step at a time. Okay. Um, Instead of learning how to do coding techniques and functions at the same time, we're going to take already coded stuff where we're not worried about, does the code work as is? Okay. Because it does. It's already been tested. And then we're going to refactor it in appropriate ways such that we're left with just the functions that we want. So we're concentrating on functions exclusively. And we're also concentrating on refactoring. And refactoring is to programming as editing is to writing prose. Okay? And it's probably said that a good writer is a good editor, or if they're not, they've hired a good editor, right? And I think he could say that a good programmer is a good refactorer, okay? And that's the approach that we're taking. Okay, so the instructions in these tutorials are going to wind up on the schedule here soon after I record all these things. So what resources are we consulting about refactoring? Well, in the current week, I've added a link to this Wikipedia article on refactoring. So you ought to be able to go find that and read it if you want to know more, you want to refresh your memory. Okay, and then in the previous week, which should be week 4 in the current semester, I have a link to Martin Fowler's refactoring.com. And as I've already said in class, and I probably said in a recording or two, Martin Fowler is really considered to be Mr. Refactoring. Okay, and some of the stuff here is kind of technical, but he's the guy. Uh, here's a title that I like. Refactoring is a part of day-to-day programming. Okay, and this is the modern way to think about programming. All right, so those are your resources. Now, in a lecture that I had that I've put in the weekly schedule, I have, what's it called? Let me just go back and refresh my memory. The lecture is called Understanding the Use Cases for Functions. Okay. And, the use cases for functions are many, many, many. Okay. And I've identified the big four. Bags of code, reusable parts, parameterized tools, and hiding places for assumptions. And if you want to refresh your memory about that, back up, pause this, go back to the lecture, okay, and listen to what I have to say about those 4 use cases, because our coding assignment is going to center around those 4. Okay. All right. Now, let's take a look at the tools that I'm going to be using for this tutorial. Um, I have a window that doesn't want to move. Here it is. Okay, so I have a project here that I've opened it up, and I'm going to use this for my tutorial. So I've renamed it with my tutorial name. Okay, but this is actually the project that I've offered for download in the weekly schedule for this week. So let's just go back to this. It's demonstration project to supplement Zelle 3E Chapter 6. So this is where all this code came from. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it around in a way that it's going to reflect how we're going to do our coding assignment. Okay. First of all, if you remember the review I did of these in the lecture, I've got the four use cases for functions that I'm trying to highlight: bags of code, reusable parts, parameterize tools, hiding places, which is short for hiding places for assumptions. Okay, then I've got two demonstrations. So there'll be nothing related to these in my tutorials. So I'm just going to delete them. Okay. Second of all, right, I've got the before code, which I have 01, 02, 03, right? So I've got the before code, and I've got the refactored code. Okay. Well, when you get to your assignment, you won't have the refactored code. I'll have given you, as part of your starter files, I'll have given you the before code. Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to highlight the refactored code, and I'm going to get rid of all that. Okay? Because I'm going to be showing you how to produce the refactored code. Okay? So now I'm going to go down and do a delete for that. Okay. So now I've got four programs. They're all called original. Okay. And one of the things that you're going to need to do when you're doing this refactoring is you're going to want to change the name of the program. Okay. And let's see, how could you do that? Okay. Well, the best way to change the name of programs is inside of PyCharm with refactor rename. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to close this, okay, and I'm going to rename each of these. Okay, so this one is currently has an 01 in the front and an original on the end, and the things that you're going to be refactoring are not going to have either of those. They're just going to have a plain program name. So let's see how we would rename each of those. So highlight it, right click, refactor, rename. It pops up with a rename function. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to get rid of the number and get rid of this original and click refactor. Now, I think I've emphasized with you before that when you do a refactoring, sometimes when you click the refactor button, you just immediately get the changes. And then other times, in probably the lower left, that's what comes up on my machine, you get another dialog box that asks you to confirm the refactoring. And generally, I just say, yes, do the refactoring. Okay, so it's not always a one-part thing. It's sometimes a two-stage thing. Okay, so that one's called bags of code. And the next one, we're going to refactor, rename. We're going to turn this one into reusable parts. Okay, so now we're looking at something that kind of looks like what you're going to be getting on your assignment. Okay, so we've got that. Now then we've got parameterized tools. And you know, I put these numbers on these things just to make it easy for you to find them in order. Refactor, rename. So you know, do people put kind of serial digits on the fronts of programs in their normal day jobs? No, they typically don't. They typically have names that kind of look like this, parameterized tools. Okay, and now we're going to get rid of the last one. We're going to refactor, rename. We're going to get rid of this. Okay. This one's commonly called hiding places. Get rid of the original. Okay. Okay, so that's how you refactor and rename things. Okay. Now, when you get to doing your work for the coding assignment, you're going to download, okay, you're going to download, you're going to download starter files that include these programs, not these, but the ones that we're going to be doing for our coding assignment, okay? And you're going to have to copy them from wherever you downloaded, and then you're going to have to paste them into your project. Okay, that's fine. All right, now you're going to have to decide if you just want to rename the one you downloaded, okay, or whether you want to keep the original. Okay, I probably would just rename the one I downloaded, because if I need to back up, if I get it so messed up that I just want to get rid of it and start all over again, well, you've got the file that you downloaded with the starter files. You can just copy that back in and start again, right? So generally speaking, okay, I'm going to start with this bags of code, right? What am I going to do first? Well, I'm going to change it to bags of code refactored. So I'm going to refactor, rename, and I'm going to add that on. Now, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to do that in the next of the videos. But this is how you would get your coding assignment underway. Okay. One other thing I want to talk about is, okay, as we do the refactoring, there are kind of two parts of well, there's a lot of parts of the process. Okay, not just two. And there are two that I want to emphasize, right? One is recognizing that the code that you have here fits into one or more of these four use cases. So you know, oh, I want to refactor, okay? And then the other thing is, okay, when I'm done with the refactoring, what am I trying to get? Like, what's the quality that I need in the code? And the biggest thing that we're interested in this week is high cohesion. Okay, we want everything in the function to be about the same thing, right? And you'll remember in the lecture I said, you know, the main function, it does a lot of different things, but the unifying theme is that it is doing coordination and orchestration for the whole program. So that's how main is all about the same thing, right? And then the individual functions that we factor out of main, they should all be about the same thing. Not 1.5 things, not 2 things, not 3 things, not 8 things, 1 thing, okay? So if you can't come up with a name for that function that says it's about one thing, preferably one that begins with a verb, because functions are action oriented, then maybe you don't meet this high cohesion requirement. The next thing that we're looking for is low coupling, and we're emphasizing that maybe a little bit less strongly here. Um, there's a lot of there's a lot of ways that you can have two functions interact with each other, and one function can know too much about the inner workings of the other. Okay. Um, and maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more a little bit later in the course. But the thing for us to concentrate on when it comes to low coupling is each of our functions should have a well-defined interface, right? Which means we should have a sensible set of parameters that we pass in, and we should be getting back a useful return value if a return value is expected back. Okay. And that's all the calling code should know about. They should know anything about the inner workings of the function that they're calling. They should know what the name is, what the parameters are, and what the return value is, if any. And if we meet that, well, then, and I just want to point out, I think I said in the lecture, that the name of the function, the parameters in, and the return value, they make up the API, the application programming interface of the function. So, we hear the junction of APIs. We hear it's even in our popular culture. This is what we mean by API. Okay. So, low coupling. All the calling code knows about the call code is its API, its interface. It calls it. It knows what it's supposed to supply. It knows what it's supposed to get back. It knows its name. It doesn't know another thing about how it works. Low coupling. Okay, so those high cohesion, low coupling, those are going to be your judge of goodness once you've factored out the functions. One last thing you're going to look at and say, okay, I factored this out, and I think I got the use case that we were talking about, one of these four, and then look at the result. Have each of the functions got high cohesion? Are they all about the same thing? And do pairs of functions have low coupling? Does the calling code know only about the interface of the call code and nothing more? All right, that's what we're looking for. I'll get into the individual refactorings in just a minute, so I'm going to stop here and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.